Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gauntlet recap. It's a big week for us. We are getting our first cuts for the guillotine portion. We have 4 weeks of this. We saw a lot of superstars getting dropped to waivers. We'll talk about that in a few. We'll go over some of the primetime games from the weekend. It's a wrap for week 9. We're on to week 10. We'll talk about the roster expansion that comes with that. Before we dive into it, let's go ahead and reintroduce our guests here. Familiar faces. We got Chris coming out of New York. Chris, how you doing, and how was your weekend?
Perfect in Gauntlet, 12 for 12. I survived all of them. Good week for me. Thanks for having me again.
Nice. And how about you, Nick? How was your weekend, and how'd you do in the Gauntlet game?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I went 3-1. Can't complain. That one loss hurt, but I mean, it is what it is. I'll take 3-1 any day.
Nice. I survived. I think I'm in 9 of them, and I survived maybe 8. I don't think I really came close to the bottom in any of them. I was top scorer in my league in 2 of them. So overall, it was a pretty decent week. It's all about surviving the guillotine portion. Other than that, we have some of the primetime games that we're going to get into. We do have a lot to cover, so we're just going to dive right in. Bring up our little sidekick here, the Gauntlet. We have this image that represents the Gauntlet game, and I like to point out in the back, you see a pirate ship. There's going to be a pirate element next year for this. We're not set in stone about the phases that we're going to go through, but we do know that pirate's going to be introduced, and it's going to have a very similar feel to the Gauntlet. And then towards the end there, you're going to have a spin on it. That's going to be something custom and do better to facilitate what Ballsville is all about, and that's that big payout upside while keeping great odds. With that said, let's move over to Thursday night football. We had the Ravens versus the Dolphins. Pretty much what we all expected. Chris, I'll go to you first. Tell me what you thought about this game and if it affected you in fantasy.
Let's just say I'm very happy that Lamar Jackson came back this week, especially because I needed him. Like, I needed him everywhere. He'd just been sitting on my IR and wasting space, but he came back at the perfect time. He helped me survive in Gauntlet. He helped me get back on track and extend leads and wherever I had him. So, yeah, very, very good week. And pairing him up with a chain on the other side was really good too. So, yeah, it was a good week for me with these guys. And Baltimore's back, baby. I mean, they're two games down from Pittsburgh, but that whole division can be had, and Baltimore, it's only up from here. They're 3-5 and 2 games back, but I see them closing the gap rather quickly. It could be like in a 4-week span, they could be tied with Pittsburgh, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that win with Snoop Huntley before Lamar came back, I think that was one of the biggest, wins that they could have had. It propelled them into this, and now Lamar's back, and you see what he's doing. I know I had A-Chain high. He's in a lot of my redrafts, and I had Lamar as well. I have him in a dynasty league with Josh Allen, and my quarterback 3 was Daniel Jones, and I was like, for I think like half a second, do I play Daniel Jones over Lamar? And then I came to my senses, luckily, and played Lamar there. We'll go over to the Sunday night game. We had the Seahawks against the Commanders. There's a few keynotes here, but we'll let Nick tell you about it. Nick, did you have any stake in this game?
I don't believe I did, but I mean, I'm a fan of the Seahawks. I love this game. I know I have a few shares of Darnold in some non-Ballsville leagues, so I was very happy. But me being a Seahawks fan, I don't tend to draft Seahawks players just because I want to just watch the games and enjoy them. But yeah, it was great. It was nice seeing Jackson Smith and Jigba doing really well. I also have Torrey Horton. I I traded for him early on in the season, and I'm really glad that his stock value is going through the roof, it seems.
Yeah, it is, and it's amazing to see a performance like that from Horton. And then there's new blood that just came into town today, and we'll talk about that in a second as well. As far as this game goes, I think the biggest takeaway was the I don't know, Chris. I'm going to ask you, what do you think about the coaching there at the end to keep Daniels in the game, and then knowing the outcome of what occurred there?
My only thought process is a bad decision on Quinn's part, but for Daniels to want to play, I think they might have been thinking, okay, well, let's get him more reps in game situations and stuff like that, because he's been out for a while now. So maybe they were just trying to get him more time on the field, but yeah, it wasn't worth the risk, obviously, looking back now.
One more question for you, Nick. Seahawks fandom aside, in dynasty startups, Jackson Smith, the Jigma, is the wide receiver off the board?
I would probably put him at like wide receiver 2 or 3. I still think Chase is number 1. I know Ethan's going to disagree with me there. I could probably sense the heat already in the chat, but yeah, I think he's a solid 2 or 3. I would probably put him over Jefferson at this point. Probably put Amon-Ra right behind him, but Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's just exploding. It seems like Darnold, it's his favorite target, and it shows. I mean, he's putting up easily 20-plus points every game.
You've got a fellow Hawks fan and Jenny B. How you doing tonight? We have Ethan in the chat. Thank you, Ethan, for showing up. We got my lovely, very sick wife, Francis, in the chat. And Mr. Grizz Tony making an appearance. We appreciate you guys that can join us live and everybody that watches afterwards. We were just kind of joking about how awkward we feel on camera and how much work goes into this pod before we started rolling. But we also agree that the importance of relaying the information that we have in store for you is supersedes any kind of qualms we have about recording. With that said, let's move on. The Cardinals versus the Cowboys. I know a lot of people had a lot of stock here. If you were you're in the Gauntlet leagues, you saw the manager bot come through and kind of give an assessment of your team during the game, just to kind of put eyes on the matchups here and what we're looking at. A lot of people were relying on Bam Knight to fill a spot, and it seemed like DeMarcado was the guy getting all the valuable work there. We saw a lot of people having to rely on Brissett for the night, and just overall, I think Javonte fumbled at the end, and that was actually a determining factor in one of our very close guillotine outcomes. I'll go to you, Chris. Did you have any stock in this game? Were you watching the scoreboard, and did it affect any of your outcomes?
I didn't have too much writing on this, other than maybe a couple spots with McBride or Lamb, maybe one with Dak. But again, Dallas is so confusing because each week they decide to do something different. We would think that having Javonte back there with as much success as he's had this year, they would have given him more opportunity, especially on the first drive when they gave it to him 4 times and he racked up like 30 yards with 4 carries. They didn't really go back to him at all after that. Dak is a good quarterback playing in the regular season usually, and we don't think of the Cardinals as having a lockdown defense, so it's kind of confusing, especially with all the weapons Dallas has. But did you guys happen to see when Lamb was watching the Harrison replay on the big screen there? He was surprised at the route that he ran. He was in awe. He was in awe.
I'm not gonna lie. I fell asleep about halfway through that game. I have an early morning rise, 3 a.m., so I was crashed out on my part. I didn't see that.
Yep.
Yeah, that was crazy. He just totally burnt Bland. It was awesome. And for Marv, I'm quite shocked that that was a career high receptions for him. I think we'll discuss that later, but I think with Brissett behind the back, like behind the center, he's targeting Marv a lot more. I mean, 7 for 10, 96 with 1 touchdown. That's pretty good numbers right there.
So yeah, that's an interesting topic too. The Kyler Murray injury. It seemed like he was on pace to come back and play, and just you know, I felt like it was a little close to the last minute where they just said, Brissett's going to be the one starting the game, and I think they kind of liked what Brissett's been doing in Kyler's absence. Do you think Kyler is being told to heal up as opposed to trying to get in the game himself and making that decision? Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, at this point you got to roll with Jacoby. He's making that offense look pretty hot right now. And they're probably telling Kyler to go play the new Call of Duty and just relax a little bit and try to make the injury heal itself.
Absolutely. Chris, you agree with that?
Yeah, at this point, I think even if he's ready to come back, if Arizona keeps winning, I think the team will say, he's not ready, just like we see happening with Minnesota up until this week. JJ, you're not that ready yet. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we'd rather throw a one-armed Wentz out there and destroy his season and let you sit another game. In other news, so we had the Jaden Daniels injury. We had the injury to Joe Alt. Sarah will talk about that tomorrow. She's the Chargers fan. Make sure you tune in for the soundboard. And me as a Niner fan, I took note of the Michael Williams injury because that's just another person on that D-line that's going down to injury. We're losing superstars. He was our number one draft pick, and he is gone for the season. So those guys are out. If you're in IDP leagues, you can't count on them. In other news, we had, I think the biggest, more prominent trade here is going to be the Sauce Gardner trade to the Colts from the New York Jets. In return, the Jets get wide receiver Adonai Mitchell, who was drafted a couple years ago. They get a 2026 first-round pick and a 2027 first-round pick. So later first probably this year. But the Colts get reinforcements over there in their secondary. Chris, what do you think about that?
Well, I think shedding a couple first-round picks means that Daniel Jones will be getting a big deal coming up, and that money had to go somewhere, and it looks like Jones is going to be the one getting it. Yeah,
that's a great take right there. I think you're right. I think it's impending. Daniel Jones is, first of all, if you're in the Discord, that meme made me laugh. I don't know if you guys agree, but it was Daniel Jones, and then he turns into younger Daniel Jones. But he did put up, I think, 19 points. We just discovered, right, in a game like that, 5 turnovers. All right. I'll go to you for this one, Nick. The Seahawks acquire Rashid Shaheed from New Orleans in exchange for a 2026 fourth and a 2020 and a 5th round pick in 2026. How do you like that trade?
Oh, I love it. I loved Rashid since he got into the league. I actually in some dynasty leagues I took him his rookie year, and I got a lot of smoke because a lot of other owners I was in the league with, they were like, undrafted free agents, they don't really pan out. But I saw this guy ball when he was at Weber State, and shout out to Damian Lillard. But he's put up some good numbers. Unfortunately, the injuries caught up to him, but he's a true X receiver, and I think it's the best thing to happen that JSN could ask for, because he has a true kind of like Jamar Chase to T. Higgins type relationship now.
10 yards.
All right,
10 yards of separation for JSN just turned into 15 to 20.
Yep.
Nice. So how do you think that this impacts? We mentioned him earlier, Torrey Horton. We saw that 2-touchdown game, and it's not the first time he's done that, right? So, they also have Cooper Kupp on the roster. But we all believe that he's at the end of his rope there. So I do you think it cloudies up any kind of opportunity for Shaheed to prevail with Horton being an alternative option there, Nick?
I think for one person's demise, it's Cooper Kupp's, because he's shown his age. Although he is a good receiver, I think it opens the ceiling for Torrey Horton a little bit more than for Cooper Kupp. So I would imagine Kupp's productivity goes down more than Horton's does.
Yeah, I believe so too. So we'll move on to the next segment. That was a nice 15-minute interval there. As always, we're going to do the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to speed things up here. I'm going to go to my guest, Chris, and let you talk about who you picked for your good of the week.
My good of the week is Joe Flacco. The old man has the highest yard of the season so far, 470 yards, 4 touchdowns. They still lost 47-42, but that's the kind of quarterback you need in your fantasy league, right? You need someone who's going to have to throw 50 times a game to win the game. So, and he's not afraid to throw it. So he's my good. He put up 40.7 points in gauntlet leagues, or not gauntlet leagues, in the regular 38 or no 40. Yeah, it was right. 40.7.
You're right, in the gauntlet leagues. Yeah. So that is this screenshots taken from the gauntlet leagues. Yeah. So Flacco getting it done. That was brilliant to see, man. What a shootout that was. Who would have known that would have been the bonanza of the week? But we'll move on to Nick. Why don't you go ahead and give us your good?
Yeah, I have the Seattle Seahawks. They just were clicking on all cylinders, and unfortunately, it happened to be against one of my favorite players, Bobby Wagner's current team. But yeah, they're just looking really hot, and like with the recent asset of Shaheed going to Seattle, I just think it's going to be even better.
Yeah, Wagner was a Seahawk at one point, right?
Yep, for 2 stints. And I actually have both of his jerseys. So I hope he retires as Seahawk someday.
Yeah, he's up there in age. I think he's like over 35, right? I had him in IDP a couple years ago, and he was always putting it down, man. So reliable. Yeah, that defense looks great, and then the offense is just. At times they look unstoppable, right? And now they're adding another weapon. Shaheed is no joke. Before the injury last year, he was outperforming Olave, and I think he was like the wide receiver 3 for a while. Don't quote me on that, but he was. I'm pretty sure he was top 10 wide receiver before the injury. I'll go back and look. Anyways, we'll go over to Chris for your bad of the week.
My bad of the week is Jahmyr Gibbs. 5.8 points. He had 28 yards from scrimmage on 12 touches in a loss, mind you. So they weren't playing ahead. They didn't use him as much as they should have, being behind. Yeah, it was a really, really weird week for stud players and multiple places, but Gibbs was really bad.
Yeah, and Monty looked great at the same time. Monty doesn't look his age. He's still performing. If I try to trade from last minute before the game started because I'm busy, I threw a second rounder out there in Dynasty and tried to get Montgomery just as a Hail Mary because I needed that RB2. Couldn't get him. Had to settle for Tyrone Tracy, and it feels so ugly. It was so bad. I'd rather have Monty in Dynasty for that second. Moving on to Nick. Go ahead and tell us about your ugly here.
Yeah, I have the Dallas Cowboys.
Sorry.
No worries. I have the Dallas Cowboys as a whole. They just looked flat. Like that first drive, Javonte was just running down the field. He got like 30 yards pretty quick. And then to not even settle for a field goal, that just hurt my heart because I have a lot of Dallas friends, and but yeah, and they got defensive help, but I think as Chris and I were talking earlier, they got defensive help in the wrong positions because I mean their linebackers and their secondary is just getting burnt, and I don't see it getting any better anytime soon.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like mismanagement in Dallas lately, right? Like they let Micah walk, and then they signed that huge contract for Bland. It was Bland, right? Deron Bland.
I think so.
Yeah, it was one of the DBs, but I mean, I would rather keep Micah for that amount right there. Chris, you have anything to say about the Dallas Cowboys? You have any stock in them?
I try not to because I hate them, but yeah, I mean, besides the obvious ones, Lamb and sparingly Prescott, I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I have a lot of Javante, but the good thing about that is no matter how bad he does, he was a later round pick, and there's always going to be a value there. So, yeah, I'll take it where I can get it. And Javante has helped out some of my rosters, so when he puts up a near dud like this, you just kind of have to roll with it. Unfortunately, it came in week 1 of the guillotine cuts, but fortunately, it didn't cost me any leagues. Moving on to the ugly, we kind of put these together. We'll go to Chris first. Why don't you tell us about your ugly?
My ugly is the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, they have the best defense in the league. First against the pass. I mean, first best defense against the pass. They're 4th in total defense, and they're on a 3-game losing streak. I mean, you get pretty much bushwhacked last week against Miami, and then Miami gets crushed this week. What are you doing, Atlanta? You're supposed to be better than this, especially with all the weapons that you have, with the defense that you have.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be winning these games, not losing them.
Oh man, that's a good point. It's so odd.
Mm-hmm.
Going to Nick, why don't you go ahead and tell us about your ugly for the week?
My ugly is the Washington Commanders. They just looked out of touch and flat, and I mean, pretty much after that muffed punt by Lane, yeah, they just lost their spark, and I don't even know what Dan Quinn. I love the guy. We won a Super Bowl with him when he was a coordinator in Seattle, but I don't know why they kept their star player Daniels in at that time. I have a lot of shares of Daniels, and I really liked him when he was at Arizona State and then went to LSU, but yeah, I feel for the guy. He shouldn't have even been in that situation.
Yeah, 38-7, and like we mentioned, we talked about in the Discord. Like if you were there for the RG3 situation, like that dude got injured. He was forced to come back sooner than expected. They try to mask it, and he got caught. And you can remember the play and watching him go down, and any hopes for Washington Command, or back then Washington Redskin fans, they were just put out in that moment. It was so tragic. So luckily, Daniels, his injury was to his non-throwing hand. It was pretty brutal. But yeah, down, I think it was at 38-7, into the fourth quarter. Yeah, that's going to be heavily criticized anytime you put it. You agree, Chris?
Yeah, that was a bonehead move. Once again, bonehead move. He should have never been in there at that point of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm convinced, as far as the Falcons go, I'm convinced that they just kind of roll a magic 8 ball and decide if they're going to win a game this week or not. Sometimes they look like they could just take out anybody, and then other times they roll over. And yeah, that's an odd one there.
Yeah, it's weird. Like the Falcons, they'll play the one of the hottest offenses, like the Patriots. They'll play them really well and lose by 1, and then a couple weeks ago, you'll see that they'll just get absolutely blown out by the pretty much struggling Miami Dolphins. It's crazy.
Absolutely. So I didn't do the preparation myself for the good, the bad, the ugly, but I will make a note on the ugly, and I'm going to put Romo Dunze out there just because he's a guy that I have so much of. And to see the Chicago Bears score 8 million points and he gooses you, especially if you have him in these gauntlet leagues. I mean, if he's dropped, I'm picking him up, but I don't know how much fab I'm going to spend on a Dunze.
Ballsville zone.
Yes. And speaking of that, waiver wire pickups. This is a segment we've been doing all season here on the show. But because of the week that we're in, we're going to kind of navigate it a different way. With the cuts, you see all the stars. There's Daniels right there in the middle. Drake London. You're going to see a lot of stars hit the waiver wire, and a lot of fab is going to be spent this initial week. If I point out somebody like, let's say Justin Jefferson here on the left side, and we start with $200 fab budgets. Right now, everybody's probably around the 150 mark. If you have 150 fab and you need a receiver, how much of that are you putting down on Justin Jefferson, Chris?
At least probably 50%.
50%. So 75 or more. I don't think that gets it done. I think with the remaining 11 players, if they all have the same amount of fab, someone's going to pay up for JJ, kind of spend that right up front. Moving over to the right side, say you need a tight end, but you're not desperate, and you got Sam Laporta sitting there on waiver wires. You have $150 budget, Nick. How much of your fab are you going to spend to try to get a stud? Well, if you consider him a stud, he's been hit and miss, but he's been reliable with the floor each week. So how much you putting in on Laporta there, Nick?
I would probably say maybe 50 to 65%. It all depends on your need at the position. If you have a solid tight end, I would probably do like 50 to 55. But if you don't have a tight end, I would more go 60 to 65. But it all depends. But yeah, I think he would be a good asset to have further down the line in guillotine. I definitely wouldn't push all in on somebody like him. I would be looking to push in all in if I had to on somebody like Jonathan Taylor on that roster. But
Oh yeah,
I'll be curious to see what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a big day. Waivers clear at 6 p.m. EST on Wednesdays. We have our rosters get cut by Tuesday afternoon at the latest. I try to do them as early as I can. I know Chris tries to do them as early as he can. We won't have Ethan for this week, and he will be enjoying himself beachside next week, I believe. So we'll cover Ethan's portion in this game. So more of the studs that were cut, we're not going to spend too much time here, but I'm a little bit more conservative when it comes to some of these rosters getting cut. We do have the expansion next week, and that's going to influence what positions are most valuable. We'll talk about that in a second. But I want to try to bid a little lower and have more fab later on in the guillotine portion, because I think that's when you're going to be able to get some of the better players to fill up your roster. More of them for cheap when other people run out of money, or in a case like we had this week when somebody has 500 to 600 fab and they get chopped, and now the going rate for a player is less.
It's very important to remember after week 13 or after week 12, your fab just vanishes. You don't get to use it from week 13.
Yeah, we go to a best ball format for that playoff bracket. If you're in the light league, you'll get the link to the dark league, and then that's when you can go and join as a spectator. Keep your eye on the template, watch your matchups, watch your opponent, watch their score, and then you're going to go head to head versus that person only. So we go through the redraft portion where your standings matter, and then we go through the guillotine portion where just your weekly points matter. We had that question in one of the leagues, and it is just your weekly points that determine who gets chopped. So we covered this in past weeks. We have our order, our seeding. The seeding was permanent after week 8. And then as people get chopped, they are removed from that spot, and the seeding collapses but doesn't change order. And then at the end, we have 8 players from the light and 8 players from the dark. We invert that list, and they face each other. Moving on, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Gauntlet game that we're in. This is the beef of why we're here. The expansion after week 10. So while players are cut, chop. we're going to see one wide receiver added to your roster. You're going to see one flex added to your roster. The super flex is going to be added to your roster. And cutoff here would be +3 to your bench. You'll be moving from 7 players on your bench to 10 players. And that is in preparation for the playoff best ball portion so that you can have depth. And then with teams getting chopped and those players becoming available, they don't have to sit on the waiver wire. You get to pick who you want to spend your fab on, to put on your roster, to go forward. Well, I'll go to you, Nick, because you're the newest to this. I know Chris has been aware of this, but if you're somebody that's in these leagues and you see this roster expansion, which admittingly is very unorthodox, but it's introduced and it has a purpose behind it. What do you think of this?
I like it a lot. You know, in these leagues, it's really competitive, and yeah, I like it a lot. And I would say I don't want to be super conservative on my fab, because yes, you want to have more fab to like outbid some of the people who run out of money further down the line. But the goal in guillotine is to survive, right? So if you're not spending your fab wisely and you have somebody kind of like a Romo Dunze on your team who has a fat goose egg, you're up Craps Creek, and you won't have to, or you won't be able to use that fab. So I really like it, especially in like a PPR. I tend to like the running backs, especially nowadays, because they could catch more than they used to. I do like the format a lot. I think it makes it really competitive.
I would argue as well that since the rosters expand after week 10 going into week 11, that if you've used your fab to gain good players in week 9 and 10, they will be available to you, whereas the people that did not spend fab are putting people that were on their bench into their starting lineup. And I'd rather have somebody else's starter than my own bench right now if I had the opportunity and it was going to keep me alive, especially week 11.
Yeah, and there's a lot of interesting strategies that are involved here because of the format and because of these unorthodox kind of implemented rules to the game. We had a lot of transactions for just fab. Players going for fab early in the season. Some of them paid off. Some people finished first in redraft and collected a $30 payout to begin with. But for others, it having no players resulted in their getting cut this week. Or if you weren't paying attention and you had bucks and stuff and they were on bye week, and you're cut this week, but you have such a stacked roster. Now that goes into the waiver wire. Now you have 11 other players with whatever fab they have left throughout the season. They're going after those same players. And you got to think, if I spend up now, I'm safer for the next couple weeks. Or like what I'm kind of approaching it as is, if I can be a little bit more moderate with my waivers, maybe I get a couple people for cheap. Maybe I don't. But I can rely on my roster to not get cut and have a little bit of an edge in those later guillotine weeks. So that's the strategy of it. And we know it's a lot to digest, but everything is right there on the site. If you visit it, you can find all the game rules for all 5 of our games on the site. And the Gauntlet has the most writings, but it's a lot of information to run the game. And then real quick, what I'll say is that this game, I keep having to reiterate this, was conceived by 3 minds, and then was run by me, and now I have the help that I need going forward. So I want to say thank you to Chris and thank you to Ethan for stepping up and assuming the mantle, because this is a lot of work, guys. For 24 leagues, for one person to do, a lot can get lost in the shuffle. Like you saw in chat, one of the documents wasn't updated fully. It was a little fine print thing that I overlooked. I apologize for that, but we've been going off of the website the entire time. So if you have any questions, just browse the website, look for the Gauntlet portion. And then if you have questions beyond that, we're always available. I just wanted to put that out there. So thanks again, Chris, and everybody for what they do to help Ballsville run. It is a lot to do. Moving on from there, we have the point leaders. We do want to highlight one particular roster coming out of Anubis Dark. We have Max Geog. He's got a hilarious name, Brock Lobster. He does have Brock Bowers, who went for 43 points this week with 3 touchdowns. He's got Penix, A-Chain, Bijan, Daniel Jones, that is the super flex, Kyle Monangai in the flex, T. Higgins, Tedero McMillan, and this is a start 8 league, and he scored 189 points. And because of that, he takes the first God bonus, which is the highest score for the week, for week 1 of Guillotine. We're going to do this for the next 3 weeks. 4 people are going to win $25 along the process. And then at the end of the Guillotine portion, for the remaining players only, we're going to look at your season points, and whoever has the most season points per league is going to get another $50 payout, and that'll be like our 40 or 54th payout so far. That was a lot. Chris, tell me what you think about where we're at for the game, about how confident you are going forward now that you survived the first week of Guillotine.
I looked at my week 10 schedule, and there's at least 2 or 3 leagues that I feel very very worried about. So I'm going to have to hit the waivers hard this week, and hope that other people aren't going balls to the wall all in for the same guys.
Now, Nick, do you have how many of these are you in remaining? I think you got chopped in one, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I got chopped in one. I think it was Osiris. It was either Osiris or Aries, but yeah, I'm in 3 remaining. I feel pretty confident. I placed my wagers already, so guess we'll just have to wait for 22 hours to see if they clear or not. It's crazy. But speaking of Brock Lobster, I like how he went and gambled on Monangai. I have him in a couple of leagues, and I'm glad I plugged him into that starting spot. He was a stud coming out of Rutgers, and I think Swift is going to have some competition when he gets back.
I like that you pointed that out, because you could see the projection for Monangai was 15. That was one of the times that Sleeper got it right. One of the times that we're not going to talk about tonight that Sleeper didn't get right was the JCM Bill, his projection. I think he was projected at about 13 points or so. I don't know what he walked away with. I just remember I was disappointed in the league. But anything else you want to point out here, Chris, on this roster? You take any stock in any of these players? You have any T. Higgins, any Brock Bowers?
I have a little of everybody here. Maybe with the exception of McMillan, because I don't like rookies so much. I've picked up Monangai in a couple of spots. I would say that looking at this roster, I don't think he has anything to worry about as far as making it through Guillotine. I think he's going to be good.
Last thing I want to point out is there's Daniel Jones's score, 19.8 here, and you can see he's got 342 yards off of 31 completions, 1 touchdown through the air, one running. We laughed at this. He's got 4 yards, 3 carries, 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles, and a touchdown on the ground. Outstanding, weird performance there for Daniel Jones to get 19 points. I thought that was remarkable. And Monangai is one of the rare people that was picked up off of waivers for $0 bids throughout the season. It's just further proof that if you're active on the waiver wire, there are gems there, even in leagues like Ballsville, where we have relatively deep rosters. So congratulations to Max Geog. He is going to appear on this list, one of these. This is our week 9 Guillotine results. These are the teams that got chopped. For the Egyptians, because Ethan's not here, we're going to let Nick take us down this list. Nick, if you don't mind, go ahead.
Yeah, so Anubis Light, unfortunately it's Ethan. Anubis Dark, D-Gauge 20, Horus Light, Bush the Great, Horus Dark, we got Degospo, Osiris Light. I already laughed at Ethan, so I get to laugh at myself. It's me. Osiris Dark, it's SmackDown MJD, Amun Ra Light, it's Drubals, and in Amun Ra Dark, it's another friend of mine, Zupicus.
All right, so for the Greeks, we're gonna go to Chris.
All right. So in Poseidon Light, we have another entry from Ethan fizzling out here. Poseidon Dark, Arrow Bolson, Apollo Light, GLC 20. Apollo Dark, another entry from Degospo. Aries Light, Racer XX. Aries Dark, Cheeks LLC. Zeus Light, Chicken Boy 87. And Zeus Dark,
Boy.
Jimby's Bimbies is out.
Cheeks LLC makes me laugh. I don't know. I just the idea of an LLC that has to do with cheeks. We have some clever names. It's one of my favorite things about running the leagues is that you see a lot of clever names. We had this is a not safe for work, but one of the legendary names was Justin Herbutt. Terrible. So that's the Greeks. They've gotten chopped. For the Romans, Saturn Light saw Sarah, our manager, Sarah. She'll be on tomorrow. Saturn, we have DJ Ethan again. Unfortunately, Minerva Light, we had Hurt So Good. He actually asked to be removed from his league, which is understandable because we do notifications. If anybody gets chopped and they want to get removed, go ahead and tag the manager, Bob. We don't mind accommodating that. We know that we produce messages. We just try to keep you guys up to date and informed. That's all we can do. We can't force anybody to watch our show or to read our rules and documents. But when they ask questions about the game, we can always say, here it is. We try to alert you. It's the same thing that happened with the trade deadline, right? So Hurt So Good. Todd Barber, TB76, Max Geog, who was our bonus winner, Simp Tropic, who only needed 2 points to stay alive, and he didn't set a proper lineup. So it happens. But I actually mentioned this to Sarah. Part of the silver lining of these leagues is if you have those typical redraft players who check out during the season and they don't set a lineup, instead of them influencing who gets to walk into the playoffs, they get chopped. They're no longer a factor. So I personally like that about this. I think it's one of the cool things that's embedded in. And speaking of Sarah, there's her second chop right there at a Jupiter Light. And rounding it up at a Jupiter Dark is Mr. Rick and more TVs. So that's pretty much it, guys. We have a lot to look forward to. We have more of the guillotine portion next week. We have the roster expansion. We're going to have more of these slides to show you and answer your questions and anything like that. So before we get out of here, Chris, do you have anything you want to share with anybody?
No, just getting ready for another 24 cuts this week.
You know what? I do have one thing that I kind of wanted to mention. We didn't prepare for this, but we found out, by luck that Nick is into a merchandising stream and knows a lot of stuff that we had a lot of questions about. And he's come up with a path for us to get merchandise for Ballsville, which is frankly exciting because I think our imaging and our neon layouts and our manager bots and our kind of our brand in general is very it's pleasing, right? It's a good brand, right? You guys like it? Nick, you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's something I'm excited about. I wanted to thank Nick for the work that he's put in so far. He's produced some templates for us and some options. What we're going to do is we're going to create a bulk order, and it's going to be something that we can incorporate into some of our giveaways. for you guys. Some cool hats with the Ballsville Discord logo, maybe some beanies, and then t-shirts, sweatshirts down the line. If you're a level 10 in the Discord, thank you for participating, but you'll be able to see the image share channel, and a lot of what we plan to put on Fabric is sitting there for you to look at. So exciting times. Nick, you want to say anything about that or anything in general going forward before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I mean, Ballsville merchandise would be really cool. So more on that to come. Yeah, but I'm just super excited to help these guys out.
So we'll get Ethan back in a couple of weeks. We'll see how many of the 12 leagues that he survived in. I'm in all mine. We'll keep track of Chris and how many he's in. Maybe Nick will update us and let us know how many leagues he's in. We want to know how many you guys are in. And then in a few weeks, guys, when we come on here, it's going to be to announce, playoff matchups, high score bonus winners, and eventually our champions. God champions and the grand champion, where the big moolah is. Big payouts, great odds. That's the Ballsville game. It's our 5th year, and we're exactly where we're going to be hoping for come the off season. So that's all for us. Stay tuned tomorrow for the soundboard with Sarah, Chris, and I. We'll have some update for other games there, and of course some of the cool extras and a little social hour. So have a good night, guys, and we'll see you then.
See ya.